page 499. January to September 1977. Preaching in Prayag and Bombay. Tamal Krishna typed out the note and read it aloud. 2. Ratan Singh Rajda, Member of Parliament, Bombay. Dear Shri Rajda, we thank you very much for visiting us at Hare Krishna Land, for sympathetically hearing our Divine Master Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace mentioned several difficulties which are impeding his great work, and you have been kind enough to promise to remove these obstacles. 1. Our men are regularly being asked to leave India. How can we manage such important projects when our men are forced to leave? Every year we have to send so many men from India, and then again we have to bring them back. For every man who comes and goes like this, we have to spend 10,000 rupees, and in this way we are wasting not less than rupees 5 to 6 lakhs each year. Our men should be given permanent residence in India. The United States government granted Srila Prabhupada a permanent residency visa so that he could fulfill his mission in the USA. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada's foreign disciples should be given permanent residency in India. Srila Prabhupada requires at least 100 men to remain in India, and he is preparing to bring rupees 10 lakhs foreign exchange per month just to maintain them. They will not have to seek employment. They are not interested in politics, and they will not touch 1 paisa locally for their maintenance. Rather, they will bring money. Therefore, we request that the government of India should grant permission for at least 100 of our men. 2. Locally, we are being troubled by the municipal corporation. The local councilor is trying to take over 10 feet. ... I'm meeting the commissioner on Tuesday, Mr. Rajda said. Prabhupada repeated his appeal to Mr. Rajda and all others to participate personally in our activities. I want that at least on the weekend, respectable gentlemen come here, live here, try to understand the philosophy, and if possible, render some service, he said. That's all. We have got nice building now. Every room is air conditioned, not, he laughed, that you have to go to the jungle. No, it's a nice atmosphere, Mr. Rajda said. For us, we can live underneath a tree, but if I would have lived under a tree, you would not have come. Everyone laughed at both the humor and the truth of his comment. Therefore, this building is required, so give them 1 each. This magazine, latest edition. Mr. Rajda thanked Prabhupada. Prabhupada thanked him for coming, and Mr. Rajda promised to return. After his guests had left, Prabhupada said, so this opportunity is there, and the leaders are not giving people this opportunity. This is the greatest human civilization. They are keeping them in ignorance. Anyway, if people agree to take our guidance, we can change the face of the world. That is a fact. The whole world will be peaceful. Conversing with Tamal Krishna the day after meeting Mr. Rajda, Prabhupada said, I have gone through various stages of life, so I have got full experience of this material world. I don't want it. That determination is there. Society, family, love, friendship, this nonsense, everything, out. I have tasted. I am no more interested. This is nishkinchana, finished. distaste for all worldly things, Tamal Krishna said. That I am realizing that Krishna dragged me through all circumstances, that these are useless. Nishkinchanasya bhagavat bhajanon mukasya. Bhajano mukha. That is required. Just like Jagai Madhava made to promise, no more. Yes, sir, no more. Then I accept you. That's all right. And they kept their promise. They became faithful. Actually, Tamal Krishna said, you also demand of us that promise. Now, whatever you have done, never mind, but no more. Follow these four principles. That means if devotees don't follow, they will not make advancement. They are breaking their promise. Before accepting them, I make them promise, and they promise it. If they break, what can I do? This should be the principle, no more. Then he becomes fit. Ara Vakya Na. Therefore, accepting initiation is a serious matter. Initiation means to seriously take up the vow. And if you make it a fun business, then I become implicated and you become implicated. In what way does the spiritual master become? He accepts the sinful reactions. He does that? It is not an easy job to become a spiritual master, yes. Then, when he is overburdened, he suffers. Krishna transfers the sinful reactions of the spirit of the disciple unto the spiritual master. Yes, that is the principle. This is aham tam sarva papebhyo moksha yashami. You have to take all the sinful reactions. This is the principle. Krishna is God. He can nullify everything, but I am not God. When it is overloaded, I have to suffer. This is the principle, like the Christian idea that Christ takes. The trouble with the Christians is that they never relieved Christ. They went on sinning. That is not love. Yes. The principle is that the spiritual master takes all the resultant sinful action, but the disciple also says to himself, no, stop it. Otherwise, my spiritual master, that is gentleman, not go on taking our sinful reaction. We will go on with our own business. That's not loving at all. That's taking advantage. That is cheating. And he is not liberated because he continues cheating. Frankly, we see some defect is there in Christianity. Is probably not there on the part of Jesus. He could have given them a way to purify themselves, but they, one chance that you have accepted me, I take your all sinful reactions, but these rascals continue. We know who said that one. These rascals continue. His point was that now you must continue to follow my instructions. Yes. Otherwise, why 10 commandments? And these rascals took it that I shall not follow any of them. You take our sinful reaction. It is very good religion. Therefore, they say, no one is more merciful than Jesus. We are doing anything, but he is forgiving us. This is going on. Therefore, according to history, he retired. After the resurrection, he went to Kashmir. It is hopeless. He didn't die on the cross. It was not possible to kill him. Such a great personality, representative of God, he was not killed. That is not possible. He made a show that I am killed. That is the resurrection. And when you finished your business, then when he got down, they rubbed his body with oils. He was a great yogi. Tamal Krishna cited one book that stated that Jesus had learned yoga in India. We admit, Prabhupada said, Guru Maharaj said, Jesus was Shaktivesh avatar, empowered incarnation. Therefore, whenever there was question of Jesus, I never disrespected him, never criticized him, because I know that he is a powerful representative of God. We took it from Guru Maharaj. He said that Christ is Shakti Avatar, like Buddha. How can he be otherwise? He sacrificed everything for God. He cannot be an ordinary man. I've got full respect for Christ and his real disciples. Why not? He said, "Thou shalt not kill," and they are interpreting killing. This is going on, and they are Christian. Just see how much cheating. It is clearly written, "Thou shalt not kill." Their only business is killing, and still they are Christian. How much cheating it is. Whatever little success is in our movement, the cause is that I have not tried to cheat. What I heard from Guru Maharaj and Scripture, I took honestly. There was no cheating. You pointed that out yesterday when you talked with Mr. Rajda, that it's an open secret. You are not introducing anything new. You're simply giving the instructions of Bhagavad Gita, and you're not introducing anything on top of those instructions. No interpretation as it is. That's the whole problem. These politicians are all reading Bhagavad Gita, but none of them as it is. Therefore, I said, who understands the meaning of one line? They really think that Morarji is a big religious man. They're very happy to think that their prime minister is now very, very religious. I said that my disciples rise at 3:30 and worship till 9:30. Rajda said that Morarji rises at 3:30 and for 3 hours so immediately I said, they're doing 24 hours. Yes, we don't engage in politics for the other 19 hours. Of course, I would never have said anything, but the fact is that this is not the business of one who is 84 years old to be the prime minister. It would be better if he were to take up preaching Bhagavad Gita. You gave that advice to Gandhi. He could do more good then. Prabhupada saying they take advantage of Bhagavad Gita and do their business. Break. One perennial social and political issue that would engage Mr. Rajda and the other members of Parliament was the position of the Harijans, the untouchables. The anniversary of the death of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who had championed the cause of the untouchable castes, fell soon after the elections, and Shirakora Gopinath told Prabhupada about a recent article entitled 100 Million Harijans Pick a New Messiah, featuring a photo of Dr. Ambedkar. Prabhupada asked him to read the entire text. I had learned about the Harijan issue from the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 9, under the heading Touching the Deity. In the Vishnu Dhammottara, there's a statement about touching the lotus feet of the Lord. It is said, quote, only a person who is initiated as a Vaishnava and is executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness has the right to touch the body of the deity, unquote. In India, there was agitation during Gandhi's political movement because the low-born classes of men, like street sweepers and chandalas, are prohibited, according to the Vedic system, from entering the temple. Due to their unclean habits, they are prohibited, but at the same time, they are given other facilities so they may be elevated to the highest grade of devotional service by association with pure devotees. A man born in any family is not barred, but he must be cleansed. That cleansing process must be adopted. Gandhi wanted to make them clean simply by stamping them with a fictitious name, Harijan, children of God, unquote. And Prabhupada himself was purifying and elevating people from all different backgrounds to the position of initiated Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Gopinath read, quote, as the nation observes this week, the death anniversary of Dr. Ambedkar, it behooves our news research to face a challenge for the plight of the downtrodden community, the story of the vast quantity of Harijans in this ancient and illustrious land is a miserable story of shame and sorrow, harassment and humiliation, operation and separation. Operation? Operation and separation. Okay. Poverty and pity. The Harijan problem is not merely a social or religious or economic or political one. It is a complex problem involving many factors. It is, however, the most baffling national problem, posing a great challenge to the leaders, rulers, and people of India, unquote. Prabhupada was encouraging and training senior leaders to write letters and articles in response to contemporary news stories, and he asked Tamal Krishna to write a letter to the leader of the Harijan movement. Whew. Why not say, we can lead you to the highest perfection of cultural, social, religion, he suggested. They're feeling frustrated. Now we can give them the light. When Gopinath pointed out that the article's author was a professor, K.H.A. Parthan, Prabhupada said, so write him on the basis of Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepishu papayonaya, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter of me, etc. According to Bhagavad Gita, we can lead you and make your life successful. One problem I see, Tamal Krishna said, is that generally they very much oppose, of course, unrightly so, the designation of Shudra. They are Shudras, these Harijans, but, Prabhupada's reply, but it doesn't matter. We shall elevate them to go back to Godhead, whatever they may be, Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras. Kim Punar Brahmana Punya Bhakta Rajarshaya. Simply denying, I am not Shudra, will not help. They must be elevated to the standard of Brahmana. That we will discuss later. But we have to convince them that this world movement is going on to take the human society to the highest perfection of life. If you join, we can help you to the perfection of life on the basis of Bhagavad Gita. There is no difficulty that we can do. If you really want, we're actually doing it all over the world. Why not here? But the thing is that Dr. Ambedkar is dead now, said Gopinath. He was the leader of the Harijans. But they could not do anything, and neither can they do anything now. They do not know how to elevate them. We know, we can help. We're actually doing it. They're feeling frustration for want of a leader. We are prepared to guide them to the highest perfection of life. The defect was Gandhi started this Harijan movement, keeping them where they are, and at the same time changing by rubber stamp to Harijan. That must be failure. Yes, Tamal Krishna agreed. Unless you change the inner makeup of a man, he won't improve. They are thinking that by spending money, by giving a better home, by these things, they'll improve. But we have practically seen in Madras, on the beach, these Harijans were given some of the better houses, and they immediately did one of two things. Either they rented the house to someone else and kept living on the street, which is their nature, or else they turned the house into the street. Unless you actually reform a person, just artificially giving him money and or stamping approval won't change anything. You have to change him. And they have no plan for that. They spent 31,000 crores on the Harijans. Can you imagine if they'd given you that money, Srila Prabhupada, what you would have done with it? 31,000 crores. Gandhi has degraded the name of Harijan to such a position, Prabhupada said, that if someone says, I am Harijan, immediately people will hate him because we know here is a Chamar Bangi, untouchable. Only he has changed the name to Harijan. That is another thing we should point out in our letter. What is the actual meaning of Harijan, one who serves Hari or Krishna? One who has been elevated to the position of associate of Hari, that has to be done. Then it will be first class. That we can do. What is the translation of the word Jana? Jana means person. Hari means the Lord. Hari's man, like Narada. Narada is a Harijan. Yes, all devotees. Tamal Krishna continued the reading from the Harijan article. Quote, the only remedy lies in the ending of their subservience to the higher castes by securing for them economic independence, unquote. But according to the Bhagavatam, a Shudra can never be given economic independence. If they want economic independence, they should elevate themselves to the higher caste. They will not become higher caste, Prabhupada commented. They do not know how. Economic independence, who is checking? There is no such check anywhere in the world. Like in Bombay, everyone can do business. So why they cannot do? Because they're not intelligent enough, Tamal Krishna said. Everything requires intelligence. If you haven't got that intelligence, how can you do it? Nowadays, suppose if you do some business, is there a hindrance that you are low class? You cannot do business? You cannot do this business? No. Neither by the government nor by the society. You can do it. Look at this next question, Srila Prabhupada. It says, who are these Harijans? What is their origin? What sins did they commit? You answer that. Prabhupada instructing him. Yeah, we can answer these questions. Yes, they did commit sins. Therefore, they are in this position. Everyone is getting what he deserves. Yes. Prakrite kriyamana nigunai karmani sarvashaha sadasadyana janma jonishu karanam gunasangosya. That this is the science. Now you can rectify. Now, not that you must remain. If you accept Krishna consciousness, even if you were born in low grade caste or family, you can be elevated. What's done is done. Now we can elevate you from this position. That is our capacity. Tamal Krishna read further. There is no authentic answer to these questions. There are. Karanam Guna Sangosha. Read Bhagavad Gita. Karanam Guna Sangosha. Here is authentic answer. Why is he saying that? This means you are not in proper leadership. Just explain that if you're infected with cholera disease germ, you must suffer. That is nature's law. Similarly, Karanam Guna Sangosya Sadasadyoni Janmasu. Now you can change the karana, the cause. Mami Parta Vyapashritya Yepi Syu Papayonaya. And you can neutralize it. Mam Choyo Vyabhicharina Bhakti Yogena. Yeah. Quote this. Everything is there in Bhagavad Gita. Mam Choyo Vyabhicharina. Brahmabhota Prasanatma Nasochati. Everything is there. They do not know why I am in downtrodden condition. The answer is there. Karanam Guna Sangosya. Tamal Krishna read further. They desire freedom from old age shackles of superstition. The old age shackles of superstition. Where is the shackle? old age shackles. There's nothing keeping them down but their inability. You are keeping yourself in shackles. You want to be educated. Dr. Ambedkar belonged to the Harijan community. How did he become a lawyer? Where's the shackle? Tamal Krishna read on. According to the constitutional directives, Harijans should account for 20% of the posts in the government service. Unquote. But first of all, they should be qualified. Can we use the example that if your father is a high court judge, does it make you a high court justice? First, you have to be qualified. Then quote Dr. Ambedkar saying, "We will attain self-elevation only if we learn self-help, regain self-respect, and gain self-knowledge." But what if the self? What is the self that they don't know that we can teach? He says, the surest way for our salvation lies in higher education. It says, here are some measures to be implemented. The caste system should be abolished. They're always trying to abolish the caste system. The caste system, where is the hindrance in the caste system? If you want to become a Brahmin, you can become a Brahmin. Why should it be abolished? Incorrect understanding of it should be abolished. This is the definition of becoming a Brahmin. Give this. Sama Dhamak Tapak Shocham. You have to learn how you can become a Brahmin. These are the symptoms of becoming a Brahmin. You develop these symptoms. Who checks you? Practically, we are doing all over the world. The caste system should not be abolished, but it must be properly established. That is wanted. If you have got any defect in the eye, it is not that the eye should be plucked out, but it should be treated and brought into normal condition. That is wanted. That we admit. Actually, you told Professor Kotovsky that this caste system is existing everywhere, in every society of the world, Gopinath added. Yes. In the body, there is a caste system. The head is the Brahmana. The hands is the Kshatriya. The belly is the Vaishya. And the leg is the Shudra. If there's only a head, that will not help. There must be legs also, but they must be conducted under the guidance of the head. Then it is all right. The leg must work according to the direction of the head. The hand must work according to the direction of the head. The caste system should be abolished, they say. What caste system? There is no caste system. Everyone is Shudra. Who is qualified Brahmin now except one or two in our camp? Tamal Krishna read the end of the article. Let the Harijans be their own pathfinders, and let them lead themselves from darkness to light, from pain to pleasure, and from a living hell to tranquility and joy of life. You do not know how to do it. Otherwise, you would have done it. You do not know the way. We can teach you, so cooperate with us. We shall fulfill your ambition. I'll have to work on this. It will take a little time to write nicely. We're willing to help them, and we are the only right person who can help them. Nobody knows. If he is serious, let him come and talk with us. Then we can end the letter to him like that. Capture these ideas, explain it nicely. Around that time, Jai Prakash Narayan, the famous Indian freedom fighter, political activist, and social reformer, held a huge gathering of lakhs of people in which members of the higher castes, in protest of the artificial dominance of the higher caste over the lower, took off their Brahmin threads and placed them in a massive bonfire. When Prabhupada was told about the event, he commented, good. They admit that they're all Sudras. Another new member of parliament had come to meet and met Pro and had excuse me. Another new member of parliament to come and meet Prabhupada at my invitation was the eminent lawyer Sri Ram Jetmalani. You know the person?
Very famous.
Very
Very-
famous.
Very accomplished lawyer.
You both responded like you knew the guy.
He's famous. He has won.
He was there during our time also when we were growing up.
Okay, so let's hear about him. You're all wired up now. When he arrived, I introduced him. He is a member of parliament representing this constituency. He recently came from Detroit. He was teaching at a university there. While this emergency was going on, he mentioned his idea of helping the slum dwellers. I showed him the article. 100 million Harijans looking for a new Messiah, and gave him a copy of the letter Goswami Maharaj or Tamal Krishna wrote. In the meantime, he was busy with other functions, so he didn't get a chance to go through it, but he is very interested. We can uplift the position of the Harijans very easily by this process of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Prabhupada said, there is a Bengali song, Rajendra Nandana Ye. You understand Bengali? No. Rajendra Nandana Ye Sachi Sutta Hoilo Se means that he, who was formerly Rajendra Nandana Krishna, Nanda Maharaj's son, the same person is now come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother's name was Sachi Devi. Therefore, he is introduced. The same person who was formerly the son of Nanda Maharaj has come again as the son of Sachi Devi. Balaram, Haila, Nitai, and Balaram has come as Nitai. These two brothers, Gaura and Nitai, have started this Hare Krishna movement. What is the purpose of this Hare Krishna movement? Papi tapi yata chila harinama udharila. In the Kali Yuga, 99% are sinful and suffering. Papi tapi. Papi means sinful, tapi means suffering. All of them, papi tapi, yata chila, are delivered simply by this process of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Papi tapi yata chila harinama udharila. Then, where's the evidence? Tara Sakshi Jaghai Madhai. You are a lawyer, so you want witness, evidence. You don't blame me, Mr. Jetmalani said, laughing. Prabhupada laughed as well. No, it is not blaming, he said. It is fact. The real understanding. Without evidence, without proof, how can a case be established? That is a good method. He is speaking like a lawyer. That you want evidence, you want witness. See here. Tara Shakshi Jaghai Madhai. That was 500 years ago. Now in our Hare Krishna movement, you see practically drunkards, illicit sex hunters, and so on. It becomes saintly persons. This is the effect of it. And Krishna also says, Mami parta vyapashritya yepishu papayonaya. It doesn't matter, papayoni. According to our Vedic system, low class, those who are born in low grade family, they are papayoni. Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, lower than that, Shudradham. Kirata Hunandra Polinda Polkusha Abira Shumbha Yavana Kasha Daya. They're called papayoni, untouchables. Of course, nowadays these things cannot go on, but these statements are there. Krishna says, Ye peace you papayonaya. Anyone born anywhere. Tepi yanti param gatim, can attain the supreme destination. Mam eva yapashritya. Krishna consciousness is so nice. Everyone can be elevated. So what is this, Harijan? We can uplift them. Some of these slum dwellers are not Harijans, Mr. Jetmalani said. Some of them are Muslims. Some of them are anyone. You see, my disciples are coming from Christian, Jewish, Muslim, every kind of background. Have Muslims taken to this movement? Oh, yes, many. One professor, Dr. Amjar, is my disciple. I gave him the name Rama Ranjana. He was a Muslim. It is philosophy, science. It is not meant for a particular caste or creed or nation. No. Rather, to accept this creed or accept this process, one is required first to give up his designation, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tatparapena Nirmalam. That is Nirmala. So long as we are covered by this material body, we're not Nirmala. We're polluted. So one has to give up this designation, bodily concept of life. Tanu Mani Na. These words are given. Tanu Mani Na. So long as one is continuing in the bodily conception of life, it is sinful life, comparatively. This we have to give up in order to come to this transcendental position, Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam, Nirmala, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. When we become Nirmala in our original pure state, pure spiritual life, then Bhakti begins. In Bhagavad Gita states, Brahmabhuta Prasanatma, etc. Such a person, Brahmabhuta, Aham Brahmasmi, that I am preliminary, that is the preliminary qualification to become Bhakta. These disciples, these devotees are not thinking that I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Brahmin. I am, no. How is it, Mr. Jetmalani asked, how is it that the Bhagavad Gita doesn't emphasize public service? Why is there no emphasis on public social service? There's no need. Wow. Prabhupada said, this is animal conception of life. The dogs also combine together and do bow, wow, wow, wow. Bow, wow, bow, wow, bow, wow. Prabhupada made a barking sound. A human being can also do like that. What is the difference between animals and human beings? But I don't know that animals serve each other. It is men who do. But what is the use of serving? What can you do? What service have you done? You cannot do anything beyond the law of nature. Now Indira is in difficulty. What can you do? In one day, everything is finished. The law of nature is so strict, you can't do anything. You are falsely proud that you want to do something, but that is not possible. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. You can do only the service that you are not this body, your spirit, soul, your business is this. This is Dharma. But when you see so much physical suffering around, but what can you do? That is it is very good to be sympathetic. Is it right to tell the suffering that I am busy at work for my salvation? We don't say it like that. We say, here is the remedy for your suffering. Krishna consciousness. Come to it. We don't say, you suffer. We say, stop your suffering in this way. Chakmadeham purnarjanmat naiti mamiti konteya. We're also trying to stop that suffering, but ordinary people do not know how to stop it. Just like the United Nations, they united to mitigate the sufferings of the whole humanity, the whole human. What have they done? Simply like marking in that assembly, stop suffering. So you must know, first of all, how sufferings can be stopped. Then you do this, the needful. Otherwise, what is the use if you do not know how, if you do not know the method? Here is Dukkalia Mashashvatam, a place of misery and temporary. I think you have read Bhagavad Gita. Oh, yes, but not for. Find out this verse, Prabhupada said to Tamal Krishna. Vam upecha kaunteya dukkalayam napnavanti mahatmana samsiddhir paramam gatim. This is the real mitigation of suffering. The world is suffering. Tamal Krishna read the verse aloud. Mam upeja punar janma tukaliyam ashashvatam, Prabhupada said. So long you have to accept another body, you must suffer. This body means suffering. That Krishna says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. Real suffering is here. That you have to take birth, you have to die, you have to suffer disease, old age, but your position is Nahanyate Hanyamani Sharire, Najayate Namriyate Vakadachit. Your business is not to take birth and die, but why are you suffering? Nobody wants to die. You must die. Nobody wants to become old. You must become old. So you do not know what is suffering and how to mitigate it. And Krishna points out, this is suffering. Janma mrityu jara vyadi dukkha doshana darshanam. This is knowledge. Suppose there is a boil, and if you, Prabhupada made a blowing gesture, is that mitigation of suffering, do you think? The surgeon must come and operate and get out the pus, and then the suffering stops. So here, Krishna recommends this is mitigation of suffering. Stop your birth, death, old age, and disease. We do not know what is suffering and how to get out. Therefore, we have to consult Krishna at every step. Then our life will be. This is Krishna consciousness. You take instruction from Krishna and try to abide by it. Your sufferings will go. Otherwise, he chuckled, simply dog barking will not help. Wow. And this is a big guy. Prabhupada, so bold. Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna said, we just received a letter from Pakistan, which I thought you might be interested to hear, along with Mr. Jetmalani. It describes some very interesting preaching there. It's just a short paragraph, if I could read it. Yes, Prabhupada agreed. It's from your disciple, Atreya Rishi. He went there. Pakistan. Yes, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is a disciple by the name of, he is a Mohammedan, Prabhupada said. He was Farmar's Attar, so I have given him the name Atreya Rishi. There are many like that. In Iran, we have got a center, Tehran. We have got many Mohammedan disciples there prosecuting our method. And he is the head there. Just see, Atreya Rishi, what he has said. Srila Prabhupada sent Atreya Rishi to Pakistan, Tamal Krishna explained. He writes, my dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you, who are the only guiding light in this world of darkness. India is that holy land in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, appeared, and whose inhabitants he instructed to go all over the world and spread the science of love of Godhead. It is in this way that I realized you're emphasizing the activities of ISKCON in India after your very successful endeavoring in the West. Pakistan is a non-separable part of India, and I appreciate your compassion towards them and your desire to help them. Yes, yes, Prabhupada said. In accordance with your desire, I went to Karachi and spent 2 days there. I first visited the marble factory of Mr. Aziz Pir Muhammad. This man belongs to the Ismaili sect of Islam, the followers of Agha Khan. His factory is very small, and he and his 3 brothers manage it. Their primary business is cutting alabaster into vases, tiles, plates, cups, etc., and they sell their products mainly to foreign countries. I made 2 visits to their factory and preached extensively to Aziz, his brother, his friends, and workers. They all liked Krishna consciousness. They are intelligent enough to understand, and in due time will be able to follow your instructions seriously. However, they need more association and a devotee to constantly engage them. I did not see fit to ask them for the use of their house as a center yet, but I told them that I would be opening a center in Karachi, and they were happy to hear this. They promised to help in whatever way they could as soon as our men appear on the scene. Unquote. I mentioned to the guests that I knew that they hadn't eaten all day, and Mr. Jetmalani asked if this was our standard food and what our normal dinner time was. The same, rice, dal, chapatis, 1 o'clock. Were you non-vegetarian before you joined this movement? Yes, Tamal Krishna answered, but now I can't even think of eating anything but Krishna Prasad. That is how Prabhupada got us off all non-vegetarian food stuff. He personally cooked for us, and he made us eat so much that we lost all remembrance of anything but prasad. Then, after we were very nicely fed with prasad, he taught us the chanting of Hare Krishna. And after our being very much pleased with the chanting of Hare Krishna, he would lecture to us on Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So every part of us was satisfied. Our tongues, our voices, our minds, our intelligence, fully satisfied. Your movement does allow householders and professional men like us to be part of the movement without having to. Actually, we very much eagerly look forward to having persons like yourself taking great part in our movement. It is with great difficulty that someone like Giriraj Das has to go to the court because we have no one like you. Hint, hint. Oh, my great pleasure. Anytime you just tell me when there is a problem in the court, and I'll be there in 2 minutes. He is a lawyer, Prabhupada said. But one can be in the movement without having to adopt the stricter forms of all this, even at home? Mr. Jetmalani asked, pursuing his original question. Yes, he can participate, I replied. If someone is initiated as a disciple, he must follow these 4 principles very rigidly. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. But the Shastra says that you can serve by either giving your whole life, or giving your intelligence, or giving your time, or giving your words. So, in whatever way possible, anyone can serve Krishna and make more and more progress. Actually, this gentleman who has written this letter from Pakistan is a big businessman, Tamal Krishna added. He is the head of a very, very large business consultant firm in Iran. But in his free time, he also tries to do a little preaching work. He is a very responsible officer. What is his position? He is the managing director of Arthur Young and Company. As a big international firm of chartered accountants, I added, then I mentioned there was some discussion earlier whether Krishna had an actual existence or whether he was imaginary. Why imaginary? Prabhupada questioned. He is in the history, Mahabharata. Mahabharata means the history of Greater India. One of the historical pieces of evidence is that if Ramayana was historically earlier than Mahabharata, then it is curious that there is no reference in the Mahabharata at all to any other gods of Ramayana, Mr. Jetmalani said. And if it will be the other way around, there is no reference to, but there is reference in Srimad Bhagavatam about Ramayana, I countered. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is reference to Ramayana. Prabhupada added, Srimad Bhagavatam is the last writing of Vyas. The last writing may contain, but between the two of them, there is no cross-reference of any kind. Now, a personality like Krishna, when first set up, it must have become a phenomena, at least. But in the Gita, Krishna describes his different vibhutis, opulences, and there he says, I am Rama, I said. Among the warriors, I am Rama, Prabhupada confirmed. The reference is there. These very words are there. Among the warriors, I am Rama. And it's also described that the great sages in the forest who were worshipping Rama, I added, they wanted to associate with him in a particular way, which was not possible because he was acting as the ideal king. So he said, in my future appearance as Lord Krishna, I will fulfill all your desires. And besides that, Prabhupada pointed out, in the Vedic literature, Brahma Samhita, the name Rama is mentioned. Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan. Rama comes later. According to this, Mr. Jetmalani ventured, there's no question of later or former, Prabhupada clarified. These are always existing, and they appear and disappear according to necessity. Yada yada hi dharma shaglanir bhavati bharata tadatmanam surjamyaham. The mortis are there permanently, and they appear and disappear according to the necessity. Suppose, in a case, you require the reference to a law. Is it not that the law has appeared for the purpose? The law was already there. You have simply to bring it up for your business. Ramadi Murtisha Kalani Amena Tishtan. Any sweets? Here, one of Mr. Jetmalani's associates said. Oh, you have got. Madarena Sama Payet. At the end, you must take some sweet. Prabhupada responded, quoting Priti Sandarbha. Then it will be digested. In UP, they give you sweets first, Mr. Jetmalani said. First, at the time of taking water even, first they will give sweet, then add and then water. One of his associates added. What is the system in your society? Sweet first or last? Prabhupada asked. His associate answered, in here also, they are given first sweet. Mr. Jetmalani, yes, but now everything has become westernized. We have dessert. In northern India, first of all, they give sweets, Prabhupada said. They eat sweet to their heart's content. Then they counteract the sweetness. The best way to destroy your appetite is to eat sweet first. Yes, Prabhupada laughed. They eat last to digest, the friend said. The sugar produces energy to digest your food, added Mr. Jetmalani. I'm glad that you have taken the prasad, Prabhupada concluded. I am pleased. Therefore, I wanted that you eat before me. It is a great pleasure. We are also very fortunate to eat before you, sir, Mr. Jetmalani said. Hare Krishna Jai, said Prabhupada as the men washed their hands in his sink. Thank you, I said. We will have to meet then. Anytime, Mr. Jetmalani agreed. You just let me know, whatever any problems, I'm yours. Jai, said Prabhupada, and after the guest left, he commented, by feeding, how much one becomes obliged. Any gentleman, give him something, give him prasad. He ate everything, Tamal Krishna observed. Oh yes, everything. Very sumptuously, pleasing. They were hungry. He hadn't eaten all day. That's why Giriraj was insisting he must take. No, you must insist. He said, I am yours. Handle them very cautiously. He'll take, certainly, intelligent boy. Tamal Krishna wrote in his diary, Mr. Jetmalani, the most eminent lawyer of India, was highly impressed. He promised to give all help for Prabhupada's movement. Break. Mr. Rajda continued his efforts to arrange a meeting between Srila Prabhupada and Morarji Desai. When I entered Prabhupada's room on April 28, he greeted me with, so what's the news? So what's news? Shorter. The reason I came up is I'm going to try to phone Mr. Rajda now, I replied. And considering that the Prime Minister may not have that much time, earlier we had discussed that he should come here to meet you, but suppose if we fix up a minimum time of, say, at least a half an hour undisturbed, and he can't come here, is it possible to arrange it in the city? Or we should just insist that, Tamal Krishna clarified. He's suggesting if the Prime Minister can't give that much time, whether you could go to see him. He turned to me. Actually, if you give the idea that Prabhupada wants to see him in the early morning hours, I'm going to, I said. I mean, if he says that's not possible, that is not respectful, Prabhupada said. Then he does not know how to honor a saintly person, and it is useless to meet him. If he has no respect for a saintly person, if he thinks he's greater than a saintly person, then he's useless. Then nothing will come of it anyway, Tamal Krishna said. And if we give him this opportunity, that he come in the morning, if he, no, apart from that, if he's got that sense that I'm a very big man, so everyone should come here, he's useless, and we cannot do anything with him. The very beginning is on the wrong foot, I said. No, he has to come see you, Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna said. There are so many examples in the Shastras of great personalities. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu refused to even see, what to speak of going there, Prabhupada said. Even big kings, Akbar, Man Singh, they used to come to Rupa Goswami. I agree with you completely, I said. Did he demand like that? Prabhupada inquired. No, I replied. When I spoke with Mr. Rajda, I said that the Prime Minister should come here, and Mr. Rajda agreed. But I just spoke to Gopal on my way to make the call, and he said, I should ask you about this. I was just going to phone, and I mentioned to Gopal Krishna Prabhu that I was going to make this call. I said that the Prime Minister was going to be coming here, and that in the call I wanted to make very clear so there would be no mistake. And he said that the Prime Minister might be too busy to come here, and that Gopal said, yes. So I thought it would be better just to, no, there's no question of, I agree completely. I mean, you're millions and billions of times greater than anyone, so there's no question. No, apart from that, if one has no proper respect for a saintly person, he's a useless man. You cannot have any benefit, neither can he derive any benefit. Because he'll think he has nothing to learn, that he's already in the best position. And we don't require anything from them. But for the whole human society's welfare, we can suggest to him, do it like this. That is but we don't require anything from them. I know that. This is of course, sometimes we are in difficulty, we ask them for something. But that's their duty anyway, Tamal Krishna said. Kshatriyas should provide protection for the saintly person. Anyway, our real protector is Krishna, I said. Yes, Prabhupada confirmed. Because we've seen so many difficulties, nobody could see any solution, but now how did he get all this dialogue back and forth? Did he have a tape recorder wherever he went and transcribed all the conversations? How did he piece all this together? Okay, anyway, Hare Krishna. Because we've seen so many difficulties, nobody could see any solution, but, quote, one of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees was ordered to be hanged, Gopinath Pattanayaka. All the devotees approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thinking that the king will excuse him. He never agreed. Oh, I cannot do that. If he has done something wrong, then let him. Of course, he was saved and protected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's goodwill, but he never agreed. These are some of the examples that simply depend on Krishna, but if they are actually respectful, we can ask them. But if it is a difficult job, Vishayinam Sandarshanam Ata Yoshit. Prabhupada referring to a verse Chaitanya Charitamrita. Is Kinchanasya Bhagavad Bhajanon Mukasya. Alas for a person who is seriously desirous to cross the material ocean and engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord without material motives, seeing a materialist engaged in sense gratification or seeing a woman who is similarly interested is more abominable than drinking poison willingly. Ooh. So the phrase, Bhavasa Garasya Sandarshanam Vishayinam Ata Yoshitam Cha. We cannot keep so strictly, Prabhupada concluded, but these are the principles taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The negotiations were going back and forth with Mr. Rajda, who also had to reckon with the Prime Minister's brief and sporadic visits to Bombay. But the Prime Minister was going to be in Bombay for a day on May 6th, and I was eager to hear what Mr. Rajda would have to say about him meeting Srila Prabhupada. Finally, around midnight on May 5, Mr. Rajda phoned, who was up at midnight to answer the call, to say that the meeting with Mr. Morarji Desai was fixed for 7:30 the next morning. The Prime Minister was going to be in Bombay for only 1 or 2 days and would be staying at his son's flat on Marine Drive. Although Prabhupada had said that he would not go to meet the Prime Minister, I wanted to inform him of the news and take his advice. It was the middle of the night, and everyone else was asleep. Not knowing what Prabhupada was doing and not wanting to disturb him, I stepped softly through the hallway around to the far entrance to his work area and peeked in. Prabhupada was sitting, dictating at his marble-top desk, illuminated by only a small lamp. He looked up and motioned for me to come forward. I sat on the floor in front of him. It was just the two of us in the large, dimly lit room, a rare, intimate moment, one of the most intense I'd ever experienced. Srila Prabhupada said, I'm very sorry to disturb you at this hour, but I just received a phone call from Mr. Rajda. That's all right, he said. Actually, with this sickness, I cannot sleep at night. Even if I want to, I cannot sleep. And due to this illness, I cannot eat also. I'm such an old man. There's no question of sex life, and there's no question of offense either. So I guess I'm liberated. Full of surprises, right? Of course, I knew that Prabhupada was liberated, not because of bodily circumstances, as he was humbly and wryly saying, but because he was in transcendental consciousness. He was always up at night translating, not because he was sick and couldn't sleep, but in the mood of service to his Guru Maharaj and Lord Krishna. When I told Prabhupada that the Prime Minister was prepared to meet at his residence the next morning, he explained that he had wanted to see if Morarji would be willing to come and meet him at Hare Krishna land. I'm not that proud, he said, that I can't go meet him at his place. But unless his mood is respectful, there is no use. This was a test, whether the Prime Minister had the proper attitude. Still, he agreed that Tamal Krishna and I should go ahead and meet him. In the morning, Tamal Krishna and I prepared to leave well in advance for a meeting with the Prime Minister. We asked Prabhupada what books we should give him. Bhagavad Gita Krishna book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, he replied. In Hindi, I asked. No, he said with a frown. English. The plan was that we would drive to Mr. Rajda's flat, pick him up, and then proceed to meet Morarji Desai on Marine Drive. When we got there, I kept ringing Mr. Rajda's front bell, but there was no response. Finally, after about 20 minutes, he appeared. He said that we would have to wait just 5 minutes more while he finished dressing and eating. 5 minutes. By the time we reached the apartment on Marine Drive, it was already 7:55, almost half an hour past the time of our appointment. You are very late, the Prime Minister reprimanded us when we arrived. He was already meeting with Murli Deora, the mayor of Bombay, and others, but he said that he would see us in a few minutes. He repeated that he had been waiting since 7:25. We were so embarrassed. We didn't know what to say. We simply apologized and gave him Prabhupada's books. He didn't say much and quickly excused himself to return to his meetings with the others. When we returned to the temple, we were apprehensive about telling Prabhupada what had taken place. We went up to his quarters, offered our obeisances, and sat on the floor before him. Prabhupada was eager to hear what had happened, and he was upset when he heard that we had been late. Very bad, he said. Morarji Desai was known for his punctuality, he told us, and we had missed a good opportunity by our misbehavior. When we explained that Mr. Rajda had made us late, Prabhupada asked for more detailed report. When we told him the main thing Morarji had wanted to know was the reason for our lateness. Did you tell him that Mr. Rajda made you late? He asked. We shook our heads. Prabhupada became disgusted. And why did you not say that he made you late? That you were on time and he made you late? I know you were thinking that he is our friend, and you didn't want to embarrass him in front of the Prime Minister, but now the whole thing is spoiled. Feeling foolish and ashamed, we hung our heads and remained silent. Prabhupada reflected for a moment and then said, anyway, these men will never change their views. Still, trying to salvage some benefit from the meeting, later that day, Tamal Krishna and I sent the Prime Minister a letter. We thank you very much for allowing us to meet you to explain our mission. Our Guru Maharaj, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is pushing on this Krishna consciousness movement throughout the world with great difficulty. But he cannot stop the movement in spite of all difficulties because Krishna wants this movement to go on as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Ya idam paramam guyam. We are servants of Krishna. Every servant wants to please his master. We are therefore requesting you to give our Guru Maharaj the following facilities in India. In India, Srila Prabhupada has very big establishments for the Krishna consciousness movement in Bombay, in Vrindavan, in Mayapur, in Hyderabad, and small establishments in Calcutta, Delhi, Ahmedabad, and other places. We invite you to visit at least his Bombay project. To manage these affairs properly, he requires assistance. As far as Indians are concerned, they're not practically coming to help our Guru Maharaj. So Srila Prabhupada has managed these establishments by getting some foreign disciples. Paragraph. Therefore, we have to request you to kindly arrange for assistance for foreign disciples to live in India as permanent residents. In America, Srila Prabhupada received permission for permanent residency along with other Indian members, and he does not require any passport or visa. You require a passport and visa. If you have a green card, you have to have a passport. Anyway, why'd they write like that? Similarly, the devotee assistants who are coming to help Srila Prabhupada in India should be allowed to stay as permanent residents without visa problems. Our Guru Maharaj will guarantee that his disciples will never participate in politics or internal affairs of India, and if any discrepancy is found in them, they can be immediately deported. In addition, Srila Prabhupada is getting rupees 1 lakh, 10,000?
10 lakhs.
10 lakhs every month for construction and other expenditures in his different establishments, so these devotees will not touch Indian money, even 1 paisa. Paragraph. At the present moment, Srila Prabhupada's assistants are coming to India and the government is allowing them 3-month visas with a maximum extension for further 3 months. In this way, after 6 months, the disciples have to go away and then again come back with new visas. This process of going outside India and then coming back costs 10,000 rupees for each devotee. In this way, our Guru Maharaj is losing 5 lakhs to 6 lakhs per year for nothing. And an assistant who is trained up is checked from his prescribed duties and is forced to go away. If the government allows these foreign assistants to stay as permanent residents, as Srila Prabhupada has been allowed in America, then there is no loss for the government, but it will be a great benefit for the relief of our Guru Maharaj. Kindly help our Guru Maharaj to continue this Krishna consciousness movement to prove to the world that there is God and that the Supreme Personality is Krishna. Krishna is to Bhagavan Swayam. So kindly, immediately favor us with this help, and we shall remain thankful to you forever. Hoping this meets you well, yours in service of the Lord, Tamal Krishna, Secretary, Giriraj, President. And that's where we're going to end, because we covered more than, or something,
24.
24 pages. How are we doing with time? Okay. To be continued. To be continued. Quite a team, Giriraj and Tamal Krishna Maharaj.
I've been marveling at the kind of access they had to all these highly placed persons. I mean, they're writing letters to the Prime Minister of India. It's fascinating what kind of access they have.
Hmm. Well, it seems like it. I mean, I don't know how it works, but it's people who know people. And once the people make that contact, then there was a meeting, and so they can write a letter to the person they were supposed to meet. But they didn't say anything in the letter about why they were late, because they didn't want to spoil that relationship. Okay, 523. I'm trying to mark the ending spots where there's this break, but there's like lots of continues on and on and on and on and on. So I'll have to break some other place. Let's see.